Welcome everyone to another Frisbi live stream, webinar, live stream, whatever you want to call it here on our ecosystem. Thanks so much for joining what we're calling 2023 Frisbi Rewind, Amazon Insights, Logistic Learnings, 2024 Expectations. Whatever you want to call this show, this is the most unfiltered and exciting show on the internet to date as of 2:05 Eastern time. So everyone, my name is Ryan Cramer. I'm the head of marketing and growth here at Frisbi. To my right, or virtual left, if you will, is my COO of Frisbi, Pearl Ausch. Pearl, how are you doing today?
Hello. Thank you, Ryan. Yeah, I'm doing good. Excited to do this again. We did this last year. It was happening. We were, a little bit trying to reflect and see how right were we, or rather, how wrong were we. So I'm excited to get into it. Excited to hear from our incredible lineup that we have. And yeah, I'm excited to do this again with you.
And this is what we did. We were joking around with some of our guests that we'll bring on here in just a few minutes, but we were joking before this. Last year, we pulled it together in less than 48 hours. This year, we had more than a week to prepare. So we had 3 times as many people to hop on and give their insights for the year and in our, behind us as we look forward. And we're just so thankful and blessed to have so many great people to spend a few moments or, 5 minutes to kind of get their insights on the sellers and the brands and the big time corporations that they're working with, just to give you, all of our amazing sellers that have joined us live today, or if you're watching this on replay, just to give a little bit piece of business information to maybe fine tune your business practices, what to maybe focus on, answer some of the questions that we have. Thank you for those who submitted those. So that's really the point of this, is to have some fun, give a little reflection, and then get back to work. That's what we want to, that's what we really want to establish here today. So for those of you who are able to join live, feel free to answer your questions in the right-hand side. Our panel that we'll introduce here shortly will be able to kind of filter in and out over the next 90-ish or so minutes, and then we'll be able to go from there. So without further ado, I want to bring on someone else who even popped up right here at the bottom of my screen. So just introducing real quickly to them. Welcome to our panel of people. We have Yael Cabilly of Fortinet. We have Yoni Mazor of Gatita, Michael Maher of Markenology, and Lenny Ash, who snuck in here at the very last minute of AZ Seller Kit. Everyone, welcome. There we are. So everyone, thank you for joining.
Hello. It's great to be here.
There's a loop. I think we're in a loop. No?
I got a little loop, but I'm going to try to fix my magic on the end. So
by the way, it's Cartology, not Markenology.
Why did I say Markenology?
I'm not Andrew Morgan.
I know. Michael, this is what we do every time. Cartology. I pair you two all the time because you're the exact same person.
Hey, I'll take it. I'm good
every single time. Every single time, Michael. We joke about this every time. Let's start with my top right. Yael, why don't you go ahead and kick us off? If people aren't aware of you, which they should be, obviously. Just a little bit, 30 seconds on you and what you do over there on the, for us, other side of the world.
Yeah. So Yael, I'm co-founder of Fortinet, which is an investment bank focused on e-commerce. We help e-commerce businesses exit at the end of the road. Yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
Amazing. Lenny, I'm going to go unmute you real quick. I think that's where you were.
Yeah,
there you go.
Right.
Go ahead.
Yeah,
I got you now.
I
Lenny,
thought
go
I might
ahead.
be the source of the loop, so I muted myself. Lenny Ash, co-founder of AZ Seller Kit and of MMX Distribution. AZ Seller Kit is a platform for Amazon sellers to help manage their business and automate pricing. And MMX Distribution is a boutique agency servicing primarily apparel businesses, apparel brands on Amazon.
Amazing. Doing the hard work and the good work as always over there at the AZ Seller Kit. So Michael Maher, Chief Idea Officer of Cartology. Michael, is that better for you?
Wow, thank you. I don't even need to give my title. Yeah, thank you for that, Ryan. I own and run Cartology, and we are a full channel agency for Amazon, specifically for brands, helping them to better understand the channel, but really to grow and get profitable on Amazon specifically. There's a lot of other marketplaces out there. We've dabbled in some of those, but Amazon is definitely the primary focus there. And I think it's a mixture. I mean, I know it's a mixture of strategy and execution. Like strategy overall, it's not, I don't really see it as super difficult. Great real estate, get traffic to the real estate, learn, optimize, all that good stuff. But the execution piece is really critical. And with how complex things are, it just seems to be increasingly more important. So we're managing that full channel for brands on Amazon.
Amazing. And a great Ohio-based agency as well. I'm just recently moved to Ohio, so I get to now say, hey, we're in the same state.
Cincinnati, baby.
Cincinnati, based here in the United States. So, and last but not least, the man who's traveled to, I think I read in your recap, Yoni, 27 countries you visited this year.
Nice. Adjusted for inflation, 27, but no, it's really 22. It's 23.
23. Oh my, still a lot. I was doing the math, and I wanted to send a note to Pearl and say, I think he's been to more countries than I've ever even thought about traveling to. But you were so busy, Mr. Worldwide, over there at Gatita. Why don't you introduce yourself real quick for those in the world that aren't aware of you or Gatita yet?
Okay, yes, thank you once again, guys, for having me. It's Yoni Mazor. I'm the co-founder and currently the chief growth officer of Gatita. In a nutshell, Gatita, we focus on Amazon FBA discrepancies. So if any of the inventory gets lost, damaged, destroyed, disappears, or gets overcharged with fees, our technology catches the issue. But then we have a service team that actually opens and manages claims, and we maximize your reimbursement, recovery. So in short, if you owe money and there's an opportunity to recover your funds that you don't have in your pocket, we kind of specialize in that. 2023 was a massive, busy, eventful year in business, life, geopolitics, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, and I guess on the Gatita side, we visited over 23 countries, 150 plus industry events, which means like about average of 3 events per week. But this is a global event because we have a team here in North America, we have in Europe, and we also did Asia tours this year. So it's been a lot of interaction, a lot of engagement. I would say overall, we probably interact all of the stuff all the activities that we're involved with. We will probably engage with over 2 million sellers worldwide, which is a lot of scope between webinars, conferences, workshops, whatever you want to call it. It's been hectic, it's been busy, and a lot's going on, to say the least.
Was Asia new for you guys this year? Like going to some of those events and stuff?
Yeah, because physically it just kind of opened up after COVID. It was pretty
Right.
uptight over there. So now that it physically opened up, and we're able to brush off the old Chinese visa. I have a 10-year visa. What happened was actually I had it on my old passport. I already got a new American passport, and I didn't know, but you can just bring your old passport with the visa and just I thought I'm gonna have to get a new Chinese visa, but it's not. So life hack: if you have a Chinese visa on your old passport, just take it, and it's still valid. Take it with you. You don't have to pay twice to the Chinese.
Great tip for 2024, Yoni. Thank you.
There we go.
Right.
Kicking us off with that.
Yeah, tips about China. That I would like to kick it off. Maybe there, Yoni, since you're on a roll with that. There was a lot of movement in terms of a lot of people visiting their suppliers, visiting their manufacturers in China. I know a lot of people went to Canton Fair in person. There's just really big learnings, but then also maybe part of one. How is it to engage with sellers from that perspective? But then I know another topic that was interesting that I'm seeing pop up more for sellers in 2023, going into 2024. I heard it's clawback season. I'm really curious for a seller. Can we explain that and maybe how Gatita is helping with those kinds of things right now? I think
about general discrepancies and reimbursements, or clawbacks where after you get a reimbursement, it gets clawed back. Which dynamic you're referring to?
Yes. Both of them. I think like what Gatita is helping.
Yeah, what Gatita is,
stuff,
so the standard, stuff. So when you ship inventory to Amazon, some of that inventory is going to get lost, damaged, destroyed, overcharged with fees. There's a myriad of issues. We look into like more than 30 types of issues, and in general, you can go up to 18 months into the past and all these transactions, all these discrepancies. There's brackets. Some things are limited to 90 days. Some are limited 6 months or 9 months or up to 18 months. So in general, we say up to 18 months, you can go back. And then you got to present all the information, all the documents to Amazon. And if you're eligible to get reimbursement, they pay you with the reimbursement. What happens is that later down the line, it could be that some of these reimbursements, statistically high level in general, I can share with you, we audit tens of billions of dollars of transactions, and we cover in the past 8 years, probably hundreds of millions of dollars of recoveries and refunds and reimbursements. We see that less than 2%, once again, less than 2% might get reversed or clawed back, meaning Amazon paid you $100 for this lost item or damaged item. And then down the road, in a few weeks, a few months later, for whatever reason, they say, "Oh, we're going to reverse it," or they call it reversal. In Amazon's language, it's reversal. Humans are, I guess we call it clawbacks.
Clawback sounds cooler. I mean, let's just be honest. It sounds like you're really fighting for.
It's
like
like
really
that.
money.
It's that. Yeah, it's like the vending machine when you claw it in and take it out, right, with the dolls or whatever. So it feels more like that. So if that ever happens, they might take, if the $100 they gave you a few weeks earlier, a few months ago, they take it back. That's it. That's fine. So they take it back. Very, very fringe. It's on the sidelines. Statistically, less than 2%. But on our side, if we ever recover that for you, in other words, if we got you that $100 and we charge you a fee, and if later on down the line Amazon takes that money back, we would credit that as well. So I don't know why this popped up, but a few weeks ago it kind of popped up. Oh, Amazon does that? Yeah, they do it from day one. It's nothing new, and we credit for that. That's something new. That's basic. It came up a few weeks ago, I guess, because one accountant in the industry realized that happened, so he shared about it. So all of a sudden it re-raised the awareness to this, but it's pretty basic. That's all.
Is that something where it's only a specific time of year that you have to worry about that? I know you said
no, it happens on random. Typically, it might happen that Amazon could have just found your inventory. So something got lost in a few weeks, a few months later, they happen to just find it. So they take the cash back, and that's it. And so if that happens, we credit you, and you're good to go. So it's good news and good news. Good news is they found the inventory, you can make money. And that's good news, but before that it was good news because they gave you money instead. So it's
they're quick to take the money back, but not so quick to give it to you to deposit into your account.
Oh my God!
No.
I tell you, I'll share an experience. It's bad news when the inbound shipment that they lost, that you ended up getting paid for, was Q4 inventory on an October shipment, and then you missed Q4 inventory because that inventory was just not available for sale. And then they were cleaning up in February and they found your pallets. So now you have all this inventory that just got checked in and is now
it's excess inventory
on your storage. Now you're in excess,
yeah.
and you lost the money and you lost the.
Yeah, but that's rare. I'm telling you, statistically, rare, like super rare. It could happen. If it is, you better fill the lottery. We might have another comeback out of that. But typically,
it's rare. The one guy that happens to, though, it sucks for that guy.
Yeah, to lose a pallet, that's not so common because it's a pallet. You can't just hide it. But if you lose a few units here, a few units there, that can happen definitely. So it usually happens is very not that impactful. If it's a whole pallet, it's just very rare. I've never seen that firsthand, but if that ever happens, call me. I'll document it. I'll do a case study. I'm happy to do it.
All right, it's good to know. Okay, Yoni, we know what we need to do.
Yep.
Okay,
back to you, Ryan.
So, very insightful. In terms of that, it popped up, and I was curious about it, and I think maybe a seller or two here would be curious about it. I just wanted to make sure that we were not missing something. So, kind of shifting to maybe more of like how 2023 changed in the way we've experienced it in these last couple of years. I'm going to go to Yael for this one because you're in there's so many different things that you touch as an individual, but your agencies and your experience that you touch on, it's been a kind of this reshifting of the market once again for brands who are looking to exit businesses. 2023 was kind of another roller coaster of a year. We heard so many news about bankruptcy, people, consolidations. There's a lot of different resettling of markets. Once again, our industry is the most unique, and every year it feels like we plan, we think it's gonna go one way, and then it goes take a left turn.
Yeah.
For you guys, you see this in your day in and day out with lots of brands who are really profitable and really exciting brands. What's different about 2023 that you've really had to had hard or easy conversations with people, and then going into 2024, what's that planning look like for you and your team?
Yeah, I'd say, on the positive side, looking at 2023, I think that the main change is that e-commerce acquisition became kind of mainstream. When we started 5-6 years ago, buying an Amazon business was very unique and quite rare. There were very few transactions. Now it has become, not only aggregators buy e-commerce businesses. We started seeing in the last 2-3 years, private equity firms, Most of the transactions that we've done this year were with strategic buyers. So e-commerce is just another channel and another type of acquisition, and it's no longer that unique. So that's on the kind of positive side, diverse set of buyers, and many new type of transactions. The market has matured. The type of transactions, I mean, the businesses have more history than before. They are larger. They have the brands have more brand awareness. So that's the new type of deals that we see every day. If we look at the negative side of of what we saw in 2023, so just like you said, I mean, many aggregators had many challenges this year. So you all heard about Thrasio and other headlines. Many of them struggled with deal financing. They struggled with the integration of the businesses after they've been acquired. And we even saw lawsuits, sellers suing the aggregator that doesn't pay the earnout. So that's kind of and to resolve some of these problems, we've also seen some strategic moves. So you mentioned the consolidations. Just I think last week we had Olsam buying Dwarf. There was Elevate that was the merge with SellerX. So I think we're gonna see more of those in the coming year. There are, surprisingly, out of the maybe 100 aggregators that we saw in 2021, there's still, I'd say, about 20 to 25 that are active, that are succeeding, not necessarily all actively acquiring. Many of them are focusing on the businesses that they already bought. But if you go into these businesses and you look at their growth, their profit margins, some of them have very healthy businesses. So I can say a few names, but many of you know who succeed and who don't. In terms of the valuations of these businesses, and that's something that we're asked a lot, especially now. I think that there are kind of two types of Amazon businesses. There are those that are the kind of lookalike businesses with no differentiations, but growing and kind of healthy. These businesses were easily sold in 2021. Today, it's more difficult to sell them if they're not, if they don't have anything unique. So it's a question mark. If you have no barriers at all, no competitive advantage, it's a question if this can get sold. On the other hand, we did see many Amazon businesses, with a unique product that were sold this year, 7-8 figures deal to multiple types of buyers. And the range of multiples can be huge. It can be 2-3 on the annual EBITDA, and it can be even 2 to 5x on the revenue if it's a large multi-channel brand. So really huge range, and that's also a change in terms of our preparation for next year. I think that while last year I had quite dark expectations for 2023, and some of them realized. This year we see the interest rate won't go up anymore. They may go down. The recession that we talked about, that everybody speaks about and talked about last year, most financial analysts don't believe it will happen, at least not as bad as we anticipated. So we do foresee an acceleration in the M&A world. And if we judge on what we saw in the last quarter, more deals, more closures, then it should be a better year than 2023. It's already
so the appetite and the confidence are kind of showing the sprouts of coming back.
Yeah, absolutely. In the past, if you judge from the past 4 months, then we foresee a big change there.
There's a lot of people who kind of poo-pooed on all the aggregators that started to fall, and some people that were even pointing fingers saying like, I told you so, which kind of upset me a little bit, because one, not all businesses are going to succeed. Two, what do you actually gain from pointing out and saying, look, I told you so? Like, great, get a blue ribbon, move on with your life. It does nobody any good, and it just brings negativity to the marketplace. But I think there's probably some naivety in all of us in some regard to think that would last forever. Like, the reality is it was not going to last. There was incredible deal sizes that I think were one-time only, people getting into the market 4, 5, 6+ multiples, which is just unheard of now. Like you said, I mean, 2 to 3 on EBITDA, maybe 4 or 5 on revenue if it's a really big omni-channel business. But I think it was just a boom, and there was an inevitable bust that came. Maybe it came a little bit sooner than we expected, but there were a lot of factors that led up to that. So it was probably inevitable that it happened anyway. But I also feel like people are probably just being smarter about lending. This is not my expertise, by the way, but people are being smarter about lending, about purchases, about acquisitions. And so they're making better decisions instead of it being a gold rush specifically like it was before.
So Michael, I'm going to stay on you because I want to, we have guests in the,
we're a revolving door today, guys.
More yeah. So Michael, so tell us, what did you see 2023 looking like? Did it exceed your expectations? Did you think whatever was going to happen, actually, did you see it happen? And what do you think about 2024? What are your thoughts?
We were talking before the show, and I did go back and watch some of the, this show last year, which was interesting. And I think what I saw, like what people hit on, was pretty, I think, spot on. I mean, it's pretty like sage and evergreen advice. But one of the things that I was expecting to see was some businesses go out of business. Now, I didn't say anything about aggregators specifically. I was thinking more about brands. Like, it's getting more difficult. The competition is greater. And so we're probably going to see some people who say, I just don't have the cash to sustain this. We did see that. I personally had, a few clients that were like, we either don't have the person to do this vision anymore, and so we're going to close up shop, or it's just too difficult to make this thing profitable right now, and so we're gonna shut down our doors. We also saw some brands that launched and had a really successful launch, but I think the things that made those brands, to Yael's point, made those brands really special and good launches were they have a really super defined market, and beyond that, they have a really defined target inside of that market. So they're not just launching a product, they are selling something very specific in a category that has demand, but they stand out. Like, you look at their product and they've got a really strong brand identity, or they have a really strong developed product, and so they know who exactly they're serving. And that's something that we talked about before, is just you're really the ante is raised. You're gonna have to be more developed as a brand. And so I think we've started to see that happen more. Brands develop more, even if it's a Chinese manufacturer that's doing more to create a brand. Maybe their brand name, is 6 or 7 letters in the alphabet strung together and you can't pronounce it, but they're doing more A+ content. They're doing more things, advertising, sponsored brand with video. They're doing all these things that I think brands have been doing maybe the past couple of years. So everyone's starting to mature a little bit more. And I think that's going to lead, that does a couple of things. One, it leaves people behind that are not willing to or able to invest. So some of the smaller brands, I think, are going to start to pull back, or have pulled back, and won't be able to launch because it's going to take more to get in. But the people that do lean into that and have a strong brand identity, I think there's always going to be a market for products that are well-defined and that go after a specific audience. Not all things to all people, but go after that specific audience.
Yeah, it's a lot of sense.
So it got more difficult, which it did. We saw some people go, but there were also some people who nailed it.
That's how business works. Yeah, we want to see more successes than we do losses, and we want more people to, venture and build that brand equity, not just in one channel, but multiple channels, and see their successes in different channels in different countries or marketplaces, whatever it looks like around the world. To make this more crowded, I'm going to invite the 2 ladies behind backstage as well, because they've been waiting patiently. But we'll go get to you, Lenny, as well. Miss Destaney Wishon and also Jana. Thank you so much for being patient as we're getting our lovely people through and talking so many insights that we're going to fit into a little bit amount of time. So invite you to the stage. Lenny, really quickly for you, 2023 insights, struggles, successes. Where do we see a lot of movement? And then looking forward for you.
I think to just echo some of the points that Michael made. I think that the complexity of running an Amazon business is only increasing. Like the new fees that they introduced, that's going to roll out in the first 3 months of the year, and they penalize you for too much inventory, and now you're going to get a penalty for too little inventory. The fee structures with discounts in different categories on the referral fees at different retail price points. I think it becomes a much more complex juggling act, and implementation is not as straightforward as it used to be. I know there's a fixed price for this, there's a fixed cost for that, and I know what my retail is. I'm good to go, and I can do some basic math. There's so many layers at which the math changes for gauging profitability. If you're only tracking top line and sales, units sold, things like that, it's easy to just track growth and see where things go. But I think that in this year, I think the more advanced sellers, just again, like to echo what Michael was saying, the more advanced sellers have a handle on all the complexities will really end up shining. And the said, if you don't have a handle on the data and on what's going on the back end, what ends up happening, it takes 3-4 months till you realize that, oops, I'm losing money. When did that happen? My bank balance is shrinking. What's going on? And then you start diving in, and then you realize that there's different changes that affect your account differently. And so I think we're going to see. I think this year, I would hope that a lot of the sellers in the marketplace that want to mature will end up adopting more technology into their day-to-day operations to try and get a handle on deciphering the data that comes from Amazon. And I think that more sellers might end up taking the more complicated parts of running a business and maybe start outsourcing more than they ever used to. I think like using advertising agencies. Maybe a few years ago you can handle advertising and itself, set up an auto campaign and you're good to go. But we all know that it's way more complex than that nowadays. And as the market continues to grow with more enterprise level brands going direct on Amazon, just the scope and the competition becomes ever more challenging to keep up with all the aspects. I think brands and sellers on Amazon this year should probably start moving more into developing a tech stack if they don't have one, and leaning on experts to help in areas like advertising or logistics or things like that. Make sure you're not missing anything.
If you're seeing something bleeding, by the way, too, and it's like a couple months later and you're like, oh, what's happening? By then, I'm not saying it's too late, but at that point you've got a big mess to clean up. Whereas if you can catch it a little bit sooner, you've got better and more detailed eyes on it, or a software or something looking after that specific area. If it's inventory, if it's advertising, if it's creative, whatever the case might be, it's going to hurt a lot less.
Yeah. Absolutely. And speaking of advertising, who other than to Miss Destaney Wishon of Better AMS to ask all of our advertising questions with. Destaney, you have probably the most comprehensive knowledge of any one of us in this room, virtually, or in the space right now, of what 2023 looked like and what the kind of future looks like for advertising on Amazon. What was it like for you and your team this past year?
Chaos. I laugh because I don't know how brands keep up with it all. And that's completely sincere. On the advertising side, just as Amazon advertising specialist, we saw so many different changes and so many new rollouts as well. I think we have access to more insights than we've ever had before with Amazon Marketing Stream, Amazon Marketing Cloud, like all of the buzzwords, brand metrics, search query performance. But it can be really overwhelming. Kind of to Lenny's point, it's almost gotten to the point where you can't be a solopreneur running a brand and still succeed with how competitive the marketplace is. And that could be a good thing as well, because I think the flip side to that, the part that everyone forgets to mention, is how mature Amazon is nowadays, where you are selling on a marketplace, the same platform as Johnson & Johnson and Procter & Gamble. So of course you're going to see a little bit more competition because that's where all the customers are. So with all the good that we saw with all of the new insights to or access to insights, I think there was also the bad of the competition on the platform, but the brands who approached it in the right way and really did things efficiently and outsourced appropriately saw some really big years. And I think that was kind of cool to see.
Yeah, I'm going to add something in here, Destaney, to your point. I saw the CEO from Simple Modern, the ones that do those bottles. Super, super cool post on LinkedIn where he literally gave a shout out to all of his competitors and said, thank you, because you're making our category stronger, because people are searching more than ever for those type of bottles because of all of their effort. So, just adding to that point, it's as hard as it gets, it also amplifies the space more and more and more. And it's super cool. I want to just put a question out to the group. I'm super curious, and Destaney, if it's something you could share as well. Nobody spoke about AI yet. I'm super curious how AI has changed any of what you're all doing and what it's done to help any of your operations or whatever you're doing internally. I know we've done some really cool things, and I'm curious if anybody has something to share.
I'm actually being brought to you today by ChatGPT. I'm officially sponsored by ChatGPT. I'm not a human. Incredible. I'm an AI. So we're using it for marketing.
Good to know. Good to know.
I can say I'm not really we're using it for things like listing writing. We are using it in our marketing for certain things. There are other aspects to it too, but I think trying to find ways to use it smartly, you're always going to need a human in certain aspects. But I think if you can find the right way to use it, I'm sure Jana has some good insights too there.
I was going to ask
you. Yeah, I just want to say that matching like Michael being an avatar, actually, we build our Wildty TikTok page only using avatars. And we've had like 3,000-4,000 views on like each and every of those videos. And I was testing like random avatars, and the one that got the most was an Asian looking avatar. She would always get like a double the views.
So
it's very, very interesting. Yeah, but we stopped testing it. I just kind of wanted to see like how the algorithm would be affected like on TikTok. But we've had like, I don't know, I think that the best video had like 9,000 views or something, which I think is pretty decent for an avatar, just reading text. So yeah, like for that, like I kind of want to like play around with that. And I also used Beautiful.ai to create slides and video, like end of the year video for my team. It took me about 15 minutes and worked magically well. So I love those tools. But definitely when it comes to listing, I mean, at the beginning of the year, I've tested all of the AIs that were available for listing copywriting. And basically, like AI is great when trying to write something out of nothing. But as the year went on, I just I could figure out like LinkedIn posts, written by AI. I'm sure a lot of people can now. So it definitely has a pattern. And the other day I read that the New York Times was actually suing ChatGPT because ChatGPT can only recycle the content that it finds online. Now with ChatGPT-4, it can't actually create something that you've never heard or you cannot find online. So what they can do is like they can write a summary of everything they find online, they put it nicely together, but that doesn't sound fantastic or beyond creative, or they created something that you've never heard before. So if you want to have something that's like an average blog or like an average post, you can use ChatGPT. But if you want to like create something that is, different, creative, outside of the box thinking, you still have to use humans to write that. And a lot of times, like, you would, ask for help, like in ChatGPT. I mean, I'm the first one to, go to ChatGPT to do an Excel formula and stuff like that. But when it comes to listings and copywriting, I'd say that humans are still superior to AI. I think you should definitely use AI to help you write anything, because I think it will be stupid for people not to do that. But I still think that there's a very, very big difference when someone that's a professional copywriter writes something that's truly valuable versus when having that done by ChatGPT. I still think there's a very big difference. I definitely think AI is just scratching the surface of what it can do, and it will definitely get better like in a couple of years time. But I think like this year I still haven't found any tool, especially when it comes to translations. We haven't had any tools that actually do localization, because ChatGPT is not sentient. I mean, it doesn't think, thank God. It doesn't create something on its own. It can't understand context. It is better than machine translations as they were, but it doesn't understand context and cannot connect with the target audience and stuff like that. So it can just translate word by word, which we've seen that it's not sufficient yet. We'd still have a bunch of brands coming and saying, hey, we did this with not Amazon machine translation, but with ChatGPT, but it's still not good enough. So I'm expecting this to improve in the next couple of years, but this year it still hasn't been good enough. That's what I'm seeing from testing absolutely everything that was available online.
Amazon had an ad conference back in 2018, and they were actually talking about AI, which I thought, I mean, it's pretty interesting for being 5 years ago. And they said, to your point, like, AI is not sentient. It's not like Isaac Asimov's iRobot. It's not going to, take you over. But what will happen is, like the example they gave was a guy named Ed goes away for the weekend. Like, everyone leaves work. You come back on Monday, he's got a red Ferrari, and let's say Ed's 53. And what AI can do is say, hey, here's the number of 53-year-olds that have the probability of getting a red Ferrari when they come back, et cetera, et cetera. So they can give you all this data. They can give you all this recap. What a human does, they start to say, is Ed like going through a midlife crisis? Is did he rob a bank? And like, how did he get all this money? Is he cheating on his wife? Like, you start to go through all these stories, and that's the human, like, creative side. Like, now you can do creative stuff with AI, but I think what it will always be needed in some capacity is just the human need to, like, you can use vector databases and AI to give it better context and to do more there, but there still needs to be a human layer, because that human layer is what provides creativity, new ideas, and invents stuff.
One thing I will say is until things get a lot better, I think the big focus for everyone should be operational efficiency. I think that's the biggest advantage. That's 100% secured. I mean, just speaking on Amazon ads alone, we have the opportunity to have a custom image AI builder directly within Ad Console. That streamlines a lot of the operational capabilities with sponsored brands. On our end, all of our in-house tech connects to everything AI related for copywriting. So we're able to say, hey, take this title and write a 50-character headline immediately. So all of our campaigns that are now being launched are directly created. So I think those are the areas where a lot of people have opportunity and streamline their business. And again, to Lenny's point, a lot of what we're seeing is the people who can build in the right teams, the right softwares are the ones who are winning, because one person can't manage it all. And if they do, they get spread way too thin and they're doing a poor job across the board. So being able to incorporate all of those key assets instead of trying to predict where all AI is going to take us, because I think that's a Pandora's box at this point, is the best way to view the business.
Right.
Yeah.
The most entertaining conversation that I had was once AI starts talking to each other and recognizing that AI is being spoken to by AI. Even on the ad side, I posed a question to the new the chief officer over at Takeometrics, and I asked him directly, will Amazon be able to recognize if I'm building these ads in this copy by AI? Will that be able to recognize content with that? So you start to kind of open up the Pandora's box, if you will, Destaney, like you said, of where do you kind of go from there? Is it outsmarting other sorts of AI? Is it how do you get ahead, and how do you kind of interweave these technologies together? Then we all just get exhausted and think about the complexities of where this will probably eventually go.
The operational efficiency piece is huge. To Destiny's point, like, you can, just in the same way that creating a spreadsheet with a script or something like that, or using VLOOKUP or something like that can help you cut down on your time. ChatGPT is now a way, like Jana said, to say, hey, I don't know how to create this formula for Excel or for Google Sheets. I know there's probably something, so help me find that thing. It helps you to be a lot more efficient and get things done quicker, because there's a lot of information that's coming at people. So, and there's new technology that's coming out there. There's Midjourney and other companies that are creating images, but like even Amazon's creative on the sponsored brand side, like, it can do it. Is the best possible thing? No. Right now, a human can create way better stuff with context, and it can take different shots that maybe are not available in the product listing or in your creative assets that are on the ad console. It can provide additional stuff without it all having to be in there. So I think that there's still a long way to go, but like operational efficiency, I think is a no-brainer because it can already do that stuff. It already can help you to take on more information and process more information in a better way.
Scalability. I think, like what Destaney is saying, a lot of parts of the processes get automated. Maybe it's not writing the best titles, but you can actually tackle a massive amount of campaigns in one shot and then go back through and optimize and do the editing later. It's got, I think AI has gotten to the point in terms of copywriting where it's good enough that you can rely on it or trust it for a basic, write me a headline, 50 characters. And then the human touch can come through at the pace that whatever organization or team that's in place can actually get back and go through things. But I mean, for my organizations, we find ourselves leaning on it to automate a lot of, not automate, but do things at scale and then go back through and cycle through at whatever pace we can to optimize whatever the AI came out with.
Yeah, I find that it just helps process things faster. So I'm going to tell it to process for me, right? And I cannot do it as quickly as it can. So it's like, an Excel formula or, copywriting, like you guys said, like read me this blog, right? Give me the 5 bullet points. And I would need like 20 minutes to do it. And now it's done in 5. So,
I remember one AI. Oh, sorry. Go
ahead, Jana.
One really cool thing. Read.ai does like a summary of all my calls and meetings, and it's absolutely amazing. It writes such a good summary that I thought that like there's an actual someone sitting and like writing the summary. So that's also like one of the AI tools I would definitely recommend. So yeah, that's all.
Yeah, that's great. We use Phantom. It's also for meetings. It's just incredible, amazing. Okay, so who didn't give us their prediction yet? So Destaney, going back to you for a second. So the 2023.
So sorry, Paul. I already brought him on, but we haven't introduced and acknowledged the man.
Yes, please go ahead.
So
please go ahead.
Liran, thanks for hopping on today as well. I know we didn't do another proper introduction to Jana and Destaney as well. So if you want to give a quick 30 seconds or so and then give us your guys' predictions as well. Welcome, Liran, and then properly welcome Jana and Destaney as well. So Jana, if you want to start.
Yeah, so my name is Jana, and I'm the owner of Wild Tea Translations, and we help brands expand to all global marketplaces.
And then your 2024 prediction, yeah.
Well, my 2024 prediction is basically that I think there's going to be, when it comes to content and optimization and all of that, definitely going to be more and more AI tools that will be trying to write the perfect listing, help with keywords, and I think we're going to be seeing more and more of that. Definitely with the algorithm, I think it's definitely going to start penalizing even more and more the keyword stuffing. You can still get away with that. I mean, there are still brands doing that out of unknown reason, but like you can still get away with that in Europe. Like, so European marketplaces are way behind the US, and you can still have caps locks and bullets and stuff like that. So I think that they will start penalizing like keyword stuffing as well, like in Europe. So I think they will be more strict when it comes to things that are still working in Europe. Also, I think that optimizing listing copy is going to be kind of focusing more on the benefits for the consumer, not so much on the key features of the products. I think it's gonna the listings would have to become more sophisticated, more like readable and scannable and convincing. So I think it's going to go in the direction of the listing copy becoming better in content. And definitely, yeah, I think that all brands should always do regular audits or updates on their listings. I still see very few doing that, and I think that this is something that they should definitely focus on in 2024. And there are just a lot of things that change overnight, especially when it comes to trademark words, which we've seen, like for instance, like in Europe and Japan, literally like something that was okay a week ago is not going to be okay like in 10 days, and then brands should really stay on top of their game when it comes to that.
Amazing. Good stuff as always. Jumping right into you, Destaney, 2020 or your introduction, and then 2024 predictions, please.
Yeah, of course. So Destaney Wishon, CEO of Better AMS. We focus primarily on Amazon advertising and Walmart advertising. So I think my biggest prediction that I'm trying to help our brands prepare for the next year is Amazon's moving into a much more audience-based targeting style. So it's a lot less search-based. You know, we've always been used to, you type in chapstick, you see a chapstick ad. Well, Amazon's trying to take in all of these audience insights they have, which is based off path to purchase and all of those things, and basically saying, hey, you know, let's also incorporate demographics similar to what you get with Meta or any external platforms to say, not only do we want to serve a chapstick ad to someone searching for chapstick, but let's serve an ad to the person whose prior purchases are within your style of chapstick. And, you know, maybe it's vegan, maybe it's peppermint chapstick, right? So Amazon's starting to understand the audience in a much better fashion, which is helping them also move up the funnel. So when you start incorporating those, you have to do a much better job at connecting with your audience and stop focusing strictly on the analytics and the data and really start moving into how do I connect through brand and creative. So I think that's what the prior group was really discussing, is how you build a brand and how to build something that stands out. And that's really connecting with your audience. And that's what Amazon's giving us the power to really take control of in the next year.
Amazing. And then Liran, to invite you in, and I know you did some homework and you brought in slides with you. So you just let me know if you want to introduce yourself, and then kind of let me know if you brought presentation. So I'm excited to see this. Oh,
You're on
he's
mute,
on
Liran.
mute. 1 second. He has to unmute himself. I have no control in here.
Sorry about that. It may have been better actually than what I'm about to say, so who knows. I brought some slides. I asked my team to, do a compilation of some of the data that we had around just what happened this year, and also some predictions for what we think will happen. So we can skip this. I go through it very quickly for the slides that we have. But some of the things we looked at was just on the Amazon ad side. We looked at our customers, where we can track, sales year over year, what happened to top line sales. We looked at conversion rates, we look at cost per click, and where things are going. Some of it actually surprised me too, in kind of going back and looking at this. So what's interesting is, average sales increased 7.5%. I would say that's, lower than we've seen right in typical years, but I think it's been that kind of a year. A little bit more challenging. These are some of the stats around different ad types that we saw this year. So conversion rate still the best on sponsored products, but you also see the highest click-through rate on sponsor brand video, right? And that's a little bit of what Destaney was talking about, that balance that you're going to have to do between, attracting an audience, getting those clicks in right to your brand versus just going for bottom of the funnel conversions. Brand video is a little bit higher up the funnel, let's say, than a sponsored product ad. But you have here general conversion rates that we saw across different ad types, and the click-through rates, that you can see. We also saw, if you go to the next slide, we also saw conversion rates improve. Again, this is across our clients, so it's not it's not all of Amazon data, just sharing, across our data that we have. But there is, hundreds and millions of dollars of sales through here. So it is good data, but it's not everything. But you see the cost per click, it became more expensive to, get traffic, but we also saw better conversion rate. I think also, sellers were focusing more on profit, because we actually saw tacos, at least year over year across our clients, go down a little bit. So, I think people just focused more on profitability, but traffic became more expensive. I don't think that's a surprise necessarily with Amazon. Tacos, again, this is year over year, same group of clients, went down from 10.6 to 9.5. I would say that there is, there was this controversial post. I think a lot of us didn't appreciate on LinkedIn. Knows what I'm talking about. That's
awkward.
Like, our average taco is like 10% or whatever, right? Like, within the context here is also, a $200 million vendor account, right? Their tacos, for example, is going to be a lot lower, 3-4% compared to a private label seller, right, that's hovering more in the 14-15%, right? So understand that I would say when it comes to like private label, people are at about 14%, right? When it comes to bigger brands, those that have brand traffic, etc., those are going to be the ones, especially vendor, those are going to be the ones that have lower tacos. So understand it within, within this context. But we did see tacos go down year over year. Again, I would say among private label sort of brands, you're above this number. You're probably on average 14, and if you're in beauty or supplements, you're higher than that. You're maybe 20%. So
I want to throw out that you and I have had some really great discussion points on this in like past webinars and post, where I think we were pretty in line, and like both of our agencies do typically work with what I'd say is a more established brand.
Right.
And external traffic is another big variable here. If they have a brand presence or they're in retail, they're driving more organic sales. Their tacos is typically lower. Or if they're in a heavy growth mode. Like, I think that's what was so frustrating about that specific post is they were like, 10% is natural. Like, yeah, if you're maybe not growing. And there's a give and take somewhere. Yes.
Where's the business makes a big difference, like maturity of the business. If you're in growth mode, you could easily spend way more than that. And that external traffic is key too. Because if you are seeing more people go to Amazon just to search for your brand, you're going to see a better return on ad spend. You're going to see more organic sales for your brand specifically. So all that stuff are factors. To just say this is it seems kind of an
right. I want to add in, Liran, that part of the predictions that we made for last year was that people are going to double down on their operations and take a deep dive and look inside their organizations and see what can we do better. So, from my point of view, what I would say is that a lot of what you're seeing over here, this is my observation, is just very simply people making smarter choices, and they're doing things in a better capacity. So automatically they're decreasing whatever it's costing them because they're making, again, smarter choices on how they're doing it. So I
think they have to as well if they want to survive. If they want to stick around, it has to be better.
And they're probably not able to afford an agency, honestly. So I think that's something we saw in the last year is a lot of people churned out and gave up and said, Amazon's not for me. It's too competitive. Amazon sucks. But
and at the same time, these are our agency numbers, right? So you would hope that our clients, or those managed by a solid agency are performing better than not also, right? So again, this could be skewed there. The other thing is that, yes, it's really not 10% or 9%. If you're a big brand on Amazon, you have a 6% tacos. It's not really 6% tacos. You're just spending the money elsewhere, right? You're just not spending it on Amazon, but you're spending it on that end cap on the aisle, or you're spending it on a TV ad, right?
Or influencer traffic or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Or whatever it is. So at the end of the day, it's likely not that, but that's what shows up on Amazon when you're a big brand and you have branded traffic because of outside advertising and marketing that you're doing. Let's go to the next slide. This was the cost of client acquisition. So this is average cost to acquire a customer. Also went up from $7.50 to $8.50. These are when you think about those, products that are $35, $40, right? Like average products people are selling. Let's go to the next one. Okay, so these are some learnings from the year. And what we're thinking about for next year. I think it's going to be a lot of operations here. It's going to be really important to plan better, budget better, understand your goals and forecast. One of the several of us here I know are in EOS. One of the tenets of EOS is being able to predict. And I think it becomes much more important for brands that are, e-commerce brands in general, brands that are selling on Amazon, to be able to forecast and predict becomes a lot more critical, especially with the next item, which is inventory management, becomes a lot more important because of this new fees that are introduced, including this low inventory level fee, where if you now have you're under, I believe there's a 90-day look and a 28-day look, and you don't have enough inventory at FBA, Amazon's actually going to charge you higher fees. And the reason makes sense. Basically, if Amazon can't spread your inventory throughout the country, it costs them more money to ship to that customer that's in New Jersey, and most of your inventory is on the West Coast. And that's because you don't have enough for Amazon to spread around. So you're going to have to, I think, keep more inventory in the US. I think on the next slide talk a little bit about just what's happening globally, right? Recently we heard China talking about going into Taiwan, right? Like what's going to happen in the world over the next year? We already have 2 wars around the world. We had some disruptions on the Red Sea, right? From war. So these are all things to think about. What I'm showing here was actually shared by Ryan Mulvaney. So credit to him on LinkedIn. He made this post about Sol de Janeiro, how they took their existing products, they made smaller versions of them, smaller sizes, and they put them in this gift set. And I think this product, if you look at this listing, actually, it says on it like sold 90,000 plus in the last month. It only went on about 2 months ago, and became the #1 bestseller. And what they did was they took, you wouldn't buy one of these things and just give it to somebody like that, as a gift. But if it came in this little set with a zipper bag that's nice and 3 things together and smaller, you would. And so they, sort of thinking about how can I take my product and make it into a gift item for the season. I think it's something, especially now at the beginning of the year, as you think about what am I going to launch next year, it's a great time to think about how can I turn my product that may not be, a suntan lotion, may not be a gift item. How can I turn that into a gift item? And how can I make it into a price point? This was $30, right? So this is like a perfect price point for, people that are doing something at work or, kind of stocking stuffer type thing that they did. And, they already built up 1,000 reviews on this product. So I think great learning from this, great opportunity for next year. I would also consider premium products, if you want to get away from that race to the bottom with, Chinese sellers, look to premium products. And on the next page, and then looking ahead, one other thing I mentioned on the previous slide was learnings this year, focusing more on negative keywords with your sponsored brand ads, especially because of the changes in match types. It's no longer traditionally the kind of match types it was in the past. And then here, more inventory in the US, renegotiate your cost of goods, look to have backup suppliers, different countries. Same thing you said, Destaney, in terms of, I think looking more at a full funnel kind of strategy. And then the big thing I think is going to be this year is also vertical videos are going to be big. You're going to see more of the TikTokification of Amazon. Vertical video ads are going to come out, and video posts have already come out, and at least in beta. And these vertical videos, so get vertical videos for your products. You can easily get those from influencers. I think there's also more influencers joining and jumping on the bandwagon of making videos on products and being able to earn commission on them. In fact, I saw Nate McAllister, I think, is like teaching a course now for people on how they could make money doing this, right? So I think you're going to see more and more of this, and you'll see more of these vertical videos with ads also on Amazon, and more discovery. Amazon, their big, thorn on their side is TikTok. It's why they went out and made deals with Meta and Snapchat this year. So you're going to see Amazon continue to try to compete. I think it's great. They lowered pricing on apparel commissions this year from on things that are under $20 and under $10 because of Shein. So I think that competition is great, and it's going to be really good for Amazon sellers. So those are my looking ahead items.
Amazing. We're going to make it a little bit more. As always, he #1, you got an A+ for coming prepared, Mr. Man. With all the presentation, you shine before all of us.
Does that mean Frisbi is paying for my dinner tonight?
Oh, absolutely.
Just kidding. We'll see you tonight.
Depends upon where you're going to dinner, what the cost per dinner acquisition is.
It's not fast food, Michael.
Real quick, Liran, is that something that's accessible that people can get access to, or is that something that you just share on presentations, or is there a public-facing version of that, or
this slideshow?
Yeah.
We'll probably put a post out or something with it, or I'll give it to you. You want to share it as part of this, whatever you want.
We're inclusive of all the data that's shared. If you want to link out, we'll make it available if you want. Or obviously, the easiest way to do is follow Liran Hirschkorn on LinkedIn, or Recommend Digital.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So much information. I want to bring on people who are on backstage as well, because this is a revolving door of so many great people who've said yes. We'd love to share our insights too. So before we go into too much detail, if they have something to share, I'm going to kind of pop them on. We have Mr. Brandon Young, Lisa Abel, David Dayon, and Chad Rubin. All of us on here. It looks like Avon kicked out some. Did I kick out anyone? Oh my gosh, there's people coming and going all over the place. So thank you everyone for joining us today. Let me remove. Oh no.
Yeah.
There we go. We have everyone on here. We're good.
I'm going to yield my time to these great people that are here, although I'm sad to see all of them come on and me go, but I'm going to yield my time. It was good talking
Thank
to
you,
everyone.
Michael. Thank
Michael,
you.
and thank
We
you everyone
appreciate
else who hopped off. Look at all of this. I love it. Thank you so much everyone for kind of waiting a little bit while people are coming through. Thoughts? Hello, everyone. Just go ahead and introduce yourself. We have David. Why don't you go ahead and start, and then we'll just work screen all the way through, if that works.
You're just on mute, David.
You just unmute. You just can't do that.
My bad. Happy to be here, guys. Thank you for joining. Thank you for inviting me, and for the time. This is a fun one. I remember watching last year, and I was just watching up until now. So you guys are doing a good job so far. I'm David Dayon, founder of Amazon Experts, also a co-founder of the eCom Cooperative. And I wanted to just, I guess, touch on my prediction or really something that's sort of happened at the end of this year, which is all the crazy fees that are coming out now. And my prediction for the coming year is already something that I saw this Q4 with some of my clients. Fees are crazy. Storage fees during Q4 are crazy. And now with new fees, I feel like pricing is going to, and maybe Chad will elaborate more on this in a minute, but pricing is going to be a very big part. Margins is going to be a very big part of the strategy needed for 2024 success. And then obviously, just to touch on one thing Liran mentioned at the end of his presentation, which is that outside traffic, more relevant than ever. Anybody doing TikTok is benefiting from that, and anybody doing any outside in is essentially getting a cheaper cost per sale. And we've seen that that's a major necessity, I think, for 2024. On to the next, I guess.
All right. Thank you so much. Lisa Abel, thank you for joining today with the Buy with Prime team on Amazon. Thanks for hopping on while you go and give us a little bit of your thoughts, what you saw in 2023, and maybe what's next for Buy with Prime in 2024, if that's okay.
Sure. It's so much fun to be here. Like, I like everybody you invited. That's like always a good thing. I'm like, oh, these are all my friends. I love it. Yeah, so this was a big year. You guys are pretty focused on Amazon. I'm pretty focused on D2C. And so I can speak to that. I can't really speak to, I'm sort of out of the loop on Amazon.com these days. My old stomping grounds are now foreign to me, but I would say that we saw a lot of people recognizing the strength of expanding their business on D2C. And now we're going to see a massive expansion on what it looks like to advertise in those areas. I think that's going to be a big focus. I think, I've been reading other people's predictions a lot, and I like to look at the smarter people in the room, and everyone keeps talking about videos being a major focus in advertising. And I can tell you that I'm seeing that too. I'm definitely seeing Amazon looking into ways of how they can really arm brand owners with different ways to advertise on and off of Amazon. And we're going to see that grow a lot. And I think people are going to learn how to utilize these strategies on Amazon and off Amazon. And I think they're going to be more attainable to an average consumer, whereas it used to be just the largest brands that would utilize these strategies. I think we're going to see the average brand owner being able to tap into things that they couldn't once do.
Yeah, we've been running ads from Amazon and DSP to D2C websites with together with Buy with Prime team. We've seen some really good results. We have one brand working on. They've seen better than a better than a 2 ROAS only on their web traffic, and a 6x ROAS when it comes to the total sales between the shopping that happens on Amazon and D2C. So will retarget people or do various types of targeting from people who come to the listing or competitors. 2x on its own is pretty good for off Amazon, including considering you don't have the same fees. We've seen better than that. And then when we look at the total picture of people that come back, we have a 6x. Now 6x there may be some a slight it could be a little bit inflated because some of this is retargeting and maybe some people are going to come back and buy anyway. But 100% when people come to the website as a result of the ad and you target it from Amazon, that there's no cannibalization or anything there. And I think the ability to drive from Amazon to build your list is really, really big. And we're seeing some pretty good results using ads. And I'm sure Amazon is going to be doubling down heavily on that, including, I think, I wouldn't be surprised if by the time we talk here next year, and this will be a good one to pull the transcript, if you're able to, at the very least, retarget people with like meta ads, for example, on from your Amazon listings, because Amazon made that deal and it's them starting out, but I think the next iteration will be a cooperation with Facebook to make money from sellers also running those ads, and driving more sales and checking out right on Facebook. It's like the anti-TikTok alliance, the enemy of my enemy is my friend kind of alliance between Snapchat, Facebook, and Amazon going up against TikTok. So it's interesting.
Yeah, fascinating. Obviously, that's the next step where I see a lot of people of D2C is a different marketplace. We have all of those conversations, and then on top of that, how do you advertise and get? That's the number one component that most people have struggled with, is getting traffic to their D2C websites.
Yeah, and there's no more targeted traffic. On Facebook traditionally, right? You can run audiences, etc., and you can do Google search, but no more targeted traffic than somebody who visited your listing or competitors' listing on Amazon, right? Like that targeting is awesome. And then they end up on your website and they see they can get 1-day shipping with Prime, and it's fast and easy to check out, right? So I think what will be exciting is to see Amazon making more strides in the improvement of the carts and the mixed carts between non-buy with Prime and buy with Prime, and all these things that are that Lisa can't tell us, but we know are coming. This year with the cart. I think once we have those and we have the cross sells and the upsells and all the things you could do on a traditional Shopify cart, then I think you're going to reach another game changing level.
Amazing. To switch topics real quickly and then go to our next person on who's been waiting patiently, Mr. Brandon Young. Brandon, welcome and thanks for hopping on today. 2023, what did that look like for you and your team, and kind of looking forward to 2024?
I'm just enjoying watching, man. You've got quite a lineup of brilliant people who are super active in the space. Just no bullshit, right? Like, this is what I love about the guests that you have on. These are people really working in the space that are managing millions of dollars in ad spend, or running real businesses, and have a front row seat as to what's happening. So I'm enjoying just hanging out.
Thanks for the validation, Brandon. Appreciate that.
I tell you, I think 2023 was interesting. There were quite a few changes. I mean, you've touched on all of the things with fee changes and advertising, cost per click, and increasing competition from other marketplaces. I don't know what else to add other than that. I think moving forward in 2024, it's going to be interesting to see that the way Amazon continues to respond to those competitors. Buy with Prime is one example of a way that they're looking to compete with TikTok. But you also have Temu and Shein coming in and expanding their offerings with a really cheap offering. And I can tell you, I sold quite a few units on Temu, which is odd because it's not open to non-Chinese sellers yet. And I don't think it will be. Their business model is not good for anyone other than themselves. Honestly, it's not good for the factories. It's not good for the brands, and it's not good for sellers, third-party sellers and competitors and brand owners.
Why is it not good? Why is it not good for the Chinese sellers or the factories?
Yeah, I'll explain. So they don't want you to have any margin. They are like, first of all, they're constantly stealing intellectual property from real brands and real brand owners, and that's a real problem. And likely, I'm very close to filing some lawsuits against them and others because of it. I currently, as it stands, my brands currently have over 100 cases in courts for intellectual property theft, and almost all of them are Chinese sellers. I will win those judgments, and it'll cost them money, and they might learn their lesson. But Temu is just, they are knocking off, especially in our toy category. For most of our toys, they are going direct to factories or to factories next to our factory, stealing our molds, or getting something that's similar to ours but not the same, just a much cheaper product, but using our content. And so that's obviously theft and should be punished. And so it's kind of weird that they're buying some products from us wholesale. They're beating us up on price, and by the time we assess fees and everything else, there's no margin there to be made, and they're insisting on doing it. So they want to buy directly from the factories, and the factories are having to sell it to them for less than they would even sell to a brand. So they're even trying to cut the prices I pay my factory for my goods. So the factories are getting squeezed too. It's like, do you want this to sell another 20,000 units to us, or do you want to sell 3,000 units to branded? And so they're squeezing. The only one at the end of the day that's going to make any money is Temu, and it's a Chinese-based company. The brand owners and and sellers internationally and people that have worked hard to create the branding and to establish the brands and build up a real company are not going to benefit from it. So Temu is not a good company. I'll be doing more content on that. I'm obviously not very happy with that. But Shein at least has fulfillment based in the US. But again, very small margins. They do have a third-party system now that they're doing. They're expanding outside of clothing. Amazon has already responded to the clothing threat from Shein and other marketplaces by reducing the fees on clothing sellers, right? And I tell you, like, Amazon makes decent clothing themselves. I think Amazon Essentials is what it's called, their clothing brand. I buy it. I'll wear it. I don't need a label. Unless I'm going out to the club with Liran, then I might throw on some Gucci or something. But no, I think that the trend will continue, that as these threats become more, maybe Amazon continues to lower the fees for sellers, because the way that we calculate fees is very different at Amazon versus what Temu and Shein are doing. And that's the disadvantage Amazon has. And that's the disadvantage that Amazon third-party sellers have, is that we have to pay upfront and build it into the cost of the product, the fulfillment fee and the FBA fee and then the commission on every single unit, even if they buy 10 units. Whereas Temu will package everything together and ship it in one box, and basically you're paying for the shipping separately. So, and they're cutting. So that $5 item, they can charge $5 for it. They're just going to charge you for shipping later. But the $5 item, if I have to sell it on Amazon, I have to charge $16 because I already have a $6 FBA fee built into that and a 15% commission. And if I want to make any margin, I have to charge $16. So how can Amazon and how can I, as a third-party seller on Amazon, compete with Temu in 2024? It's impossible. The only advantage that they have is that it's that they have real brands, they have real sellers, and that they have the trust, they have Prime, right? Those are the advantages that they have. Will that dwindle? Will American sellers not give a shit and just buy the cheaper option and wait a week for it? So that's the question.
Those are all very good points.
Yeah, we have a lot of question marks. So moving forward, I think that Amazon needs to continue to lower fees, maybe disrupt themselves with the way they calculate fulfillment. I think a lot of sellers are going to disappear. Third-party sellers are going to give up on Amazon because they can't deal with it. Increased fees for having low inventory, fees for this, fees for that, fees for the other thing, and then it's becoming onerous. And if you don't stay on top of it, if you're not really good, if you don't have a good team, if you're not good with data, you're getting chipped away to where you have no margin either. And so I think the larger companies, more sophisticated sellers, are going to continue to do well and do okay and continue to grow. A lot of people, larger brands, might just try to maintain and really figure out how to improve margins. So maybe not grow aggressively in 2024. And new sellers will come into the market that are a little bit maybe more sophisticated to try their hand at it and use new designs and disrupt however they can. So AI is a big part of that as well. So AI on product development, AI on assessment of your fees and making things leaner and understanding where you're spending money, how to improve your margins, AI for business analytics, for pricing strategies like Chad will mention, I'm sure, and then for product design, for product validation. All of it's needed. And then finding new traffic sources, buy with Prime, social, influencer. If you're not doing and paying attention to all those things in 2024, you have a real threat to your business from external marketplaces, direct from factories, people stealing your content, Temu, Shein, TikTok sellers. So it's going to be a challenging year for a lot of sellers. I think a lot of people will close their shop. A lot of people will get better. And I wish I was in more of a merry attitude here for the holidays, but the reality
is busy, Brennan.
it's time to become a real business owner and run a real business, or you're not going to survive.
I have a question for the room. I saw something, and I didn't see it across all accounts, a liquidation processing fee, which is new. I haven't seen that before recently. Anybody see it? Anybody know what it is? Or seems like it's another whammy, but I just saw it last week for the first time.
Look, there's so many new fees, I lose track of them.
Okay, so nobody saw it yet?
I have not seen that. So
no, the biggest kick to us was when the disposal fee and the recall fee became the same. It really promotes waste. It really promotes, it's not good for us sellers because we used to be able to recall that, refurbish it, donate it. And it was better for our bottom line, and it was better for the country. It was better for everybody. But now it costs the same to light something on fire as it does to recall it. And now I don't need the overhead of receiving it, of QCing it, of doing anything else. It's better that I just dispose of it. And who knows, it ends up in a landfill wherever. So yeah, there's all sorts of fees. The low storage fee is really, really interesting. If you guys, not low storage fee. What is it specifically called?
It's a low inventory.
Low inventory fee.
Yeah.
26%.
It's upon lease or there was a good video done. It's actually upon fulfillment, but it's a low inventory fee, built into once you ship a product. But yes, you have to have a certain minimum threshold in stock. That's the long and short of it.
I'm trying to build out a spreadsheet that calculates the most efficient way to spread your inventory, to manage your inventory. Now, as a brand that has multiple marketplaces, that has multiple ways to fulfill, now I have to decide how much am I going to send directly through like Amazon Global Logistics? How much am I going to send to a 3PL? How much am I going to send directly to Amazon? And how much am I going to ship directly from China and drip feed from China and then to other marketplaces? So that became so much more complicated now. And if I send too much to Amazon, then I get a fee. If I send, because storage fees are super high and ridiculous, or if I send too little, now I get a fee. And now I'm getting. This is becoming a tightrope to walk that a lot of people will end up losing any margin, any small remaining margin that they already had. And I think that that's a problem. We need to fix it.
Wow. Brandon, I'm just going to add one thing, a shameless plug, and then we'll go to Chad. Global expansion should be on everybody's radar for 2024 as well. Whatever you're doing in the US, replicate the same for global markets, and that's what Frisbi can help with. Just putting it out there. If you don't know what we do, we help with global expansion. So if you want to expand to Canada, the UK, etc., Amazon has huge marketplaces there just as well, and that's what we do. Ryan, go for it.
I was going to say it only took an hour and 18 minutes to do this to promote ourselves. No, it is something that we're helping people manage margins in different marketplaces. Again, it's not a one-to-one. It's there's tools that are able to do with product guidance tools. Amazon has a lot of data. They're allowing you to look at where people are searching for your products in different marketplaces. Same same across the board. So we are helping people understand there's margins to gain in different non-competitive markets where there's not as high CPCs, things like that. So shameless plug for Frisbi. A lot of our great customers are on here, and other people are learning and want to know about expanding the brand to become a true global brand. So that being said, I think that Brandon made a good segue.
I wouldn't even gloss over that, Ryan. Let me even talk about that, because I think that as margins and tacos becomes hard, your profits become less on .com. The same way that we use variation strategies to boost overall profits on a listing, using each variation as a traffic source that converts better, that contributes to the overall margin of the listing. That's a very important strategy. The same thing should be true from a holistic standpoint for brands. And it's something I've neglected in my own brand. We do $30 million. It's almost all on Amazon.com. So we need to talk to Frisbi for our own brands, and maybe we can figure out how to bring us to Canada, to to Japan, and to Mexico and some other marketplaces to help level this out a little bit. Let's talk after for sure.
Yeah,
sure.
absolutely.
So Brandon, just a piece of data, okay? If you're doing about 30 million, congratulations, by the way, that's pretty amazing. You should be doing between 10 to 30% of that in Canada alone. So just imagine turning on that flow. Just do the math.
I love Canadian bacon.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
That statement was not on my bingo card for this talk today.
There's a lot I haven't expected to come out of this conversation. This is what we do in unscripted lives like this. I get people who are throwing from right field. I didn't think Sheen or Timu was going to be brought up, but hey, Canadian bacon, probably top of the list right now. So thank you for that, Brandon, as well. Did not neglect also. I think pricing is a huge component. I don't want to gloss over that. And I think the person that can talk most about this is Mr. Chad Rubin, who's been sitting patiently in his room. So I appreciate you spending some time. And I know you're waiting to just get right at it too. So Chad, go ahead.
Yeah, I wasn't even going to talk about pricing. I was just excited to get the band back together here and hang out and listen to everybody riff. I didn't come prepared to talk about pricing. I'm happy to talk about it, but I think I just want to talk about what happened in 23, and perhaps I'll make a interesting prediction that's different from everybody else into 24, perhaps 25. I'll even go further out. So I think at least from like 2019, right? 2020, we had the COVID bump through 21. And then it burned off in 22, and then 23, I think we had significant lifestyle deflation across the board, not just from Amazon sellers, I think just in general, across the United States specifically. And I think 2024, this is going to sound horrible, is about being boring as heck, right? So steady, boring, profitable, tempered, moderate growth. And so so longer the days of, I don't know, revenue-based financing in the space perhaps, or inventory-based financing, or like fancy offices, or honestly, I think like testing new channels. To me, I think people are going to start doubling down on what brought them to the dance. And if that dance is Amazon, so be it. So I know all this stuff sounds kind of boring, but sure, there'll be like generative AI out there, whether it's pricing like Prophecy or whether it's other AI softwares that are existing today. Generative AI creative is going to be there. All these things are just meant to actually drive a leaner OpEx in the company, leaner fees specifically. And I want to get into fees in a second on Amazon, but at least what I witnessed in 23, and I have a fairly large Amazon business too, is the bifurcation between the haves and the have-nots. Just the same way that's happening in the United States, where the wealthy are getting wealthier and the poor are getting poorer. I think that same thing is happening on Amazon specifically. And sort of like the smaller Amazon sellers are being pushed out, and you have larger Amazon sellers, or not even just Amazon, just brands in general that have larger budgets, better cost controls, better finance skills, that are just outperforming the smaller guys. So I think that to me is going to continue to happen in 2024. I think we have significant geopolitical risk for the first time. I mean, here we are talking about Amazon reducing fees to accommodate Temu and I don't even know how to say the name because I don't shop there, but
Shein.
Shein, yes. I was going to lean on Brandon for that because I know he has that dialect dialed in. But I'm going to go ahead and say that I think that there's going to be a change in the regime here in the United States, and I'm going to say that there's going to be a ban on Chinese companies in the name of surveillance that happens in, say, 25. And that's going to include TikTok, for example. It'll be strategic and in the United States' best interest to do that. If you look at Amazon financials, Amazon I want to say in maybe the past 2 quarters spent the most on lobbying that they ever did, ever in their history. And they've been breaking their records ever since I think they got into this antitrust fight. But I think that there is room to have a world in the United States where there's no TikTok and less competition for Amazon. And I don't think it comes in the form of just giving sellers lower fees. Just my prediction. I'm just putting it out there.
We're going to wrap it in a big, big bow and send it to you. I can't wait to see what next year brings. Wow.
I could be completely wrong. But I think we're going to be hitting peak TikTok and Temu and Shein in 25. So, and I think that'll be a big boon, by the way, to U.S. sellers specifically, because like Chinese sellers have an unfair advantage, right? There's no question about it. That they don't pay U.S. taxes, they don't play by U.S. rules. I'm actually starting to learn a thing or two. Like one of the things I implemented in 2023, not only with like getting back to black and getting back to profitability, but I implemented shipping direct from China into the United States, like directly injecting from a distribution center in China directly into Amazon, which is saving me 30% in margin, which is massive when you think about the scale of my business. So those are things I'm thinking about for 23, 24, boring, moderate, scalable growth, thinking about cash flow and free cash flow, a real business, like Brandon said, operating super leaning on software that helps me become more effective versus efficient. So helping me do my job better as a business. And that could be AI based, that could be just softwares that focus on effectiveness, I think is going to be much more important than just dashboards that show you numbers that aren't even accurate. Yeah, those are a few things I'm seeing.
So just to echo back, we like to use this term a lot. It's the EOS term. Just to echo back, leaner, more profit, and bottom line, operationalizing everything that you do. So not necessarily investing in new channels, but whatever you're doing, ultimately bring back more of the dollars that you weren't seeing in the last year or two. I could say that I've seen a lot of businesses say the same thing. So it's interesting hearing it from you as well.
I mean, if you look at the aggregators, right, they bought these Amazon businesses with the premise that they were going to take these businesses and create unicorns and drive them off Amazon. And we see what happened there, right? Almost for the most part, all of them.
They did drive them off Amazon, right off
the cliff. or off a cliff.
Funny. That is funny. It'll be a good thing to put into the Bing image creator and post on LinkedIn. This is what aggregators did in 2023. They drove brands off Amazon and have them dropping into a cliff.
That's literally what happened. Yep.
So with all of this, I know kind of bringing this to a close for the group here, and thank you to everyone who spent the almost 90 minutes with us about this. We're hearing so many different fluidities, and I think we just have to keep thinking of Amazon as a business and a speedboat and not a freighter. The bigger you are, it's harder to change as quickly as possible, but the e-commerce seller, the typical brand that has to make changes so quickly with all these different waves, it almost feels like we're in a semi-storm hurricane at times. We have to constantly be on the lookout and make sure we don't get ourselves capsized. I guess for the group, are we still on a phase of success in Amazon, or in e-commerce is just still more difficult? It just more curveballs thrown us every single year, just in different ways. One dissipates and one gets thrown in a different place. Or do we still collectively think success can happen? Yes, for the best for the best of us, but not as many as maybe in years past.
No, I think this is still an amazing opportunity. Don't get me wrong. I'm pessimistic about some of the things happening, but the reality is, especially with AI, with the ability to empower, for example, right? Like, shameless plug here. Data Dive allows you to go read the reviews on a bunch of competitors and their listing pages, come back and suggest to you how to build a better product, right? It's not always 100% accurate, but it's going to tell you this is what people liked, this is what they didn't like, this is what we recommend building. It's going to tell you who the typical buyers are, so you can say, okay, I need variations for this guy and that guy because I didn't even think of those people, right? And then you can use AI like Midjourney for design, and then, and disrupt the design in the market, and then go poll real people to find out whether the product's even good before you even make the product. So disruption is very much possible. People will pay more for better designs, for better value, and things that you can do to make better products. There are still a ton of products, millions of products on Amazon that are disruptable, that are just basic designs, or not meeting the needs of most of the people looking to buy them. And I think you just need the right strategy. You need to make sure you're in the data. You need to make sure that you optimize to rank, that you are very efficient with your advertising, like, Liran and Destaney spoke about. If you're not pulling that lever properly, and you're not building the listing properly, and you're not really good at climbing those learning curves of product development, SEO and marketing, then you're going to struggle. You're not going to do well. But this is why we're so intense with the way we teach things, and the way that we do things in our own business, and why we're successful and why our students are successful.
Anyone else have anything to add on top of that before we cap off for the day?
I just want to say on the recession, or like even recession, or like dampening macro factors in capitalism in general, it's creative destruction, right? When somebody's losing, somebody's winning. So I never really pay attention to what's happening in the macro space. I mean, I observe it. I see what's happening. I see people are struggling. But if you look at what happened during COVID, it was the largest wealth transfer we ever had in the United States. And people won while people in parallel lost. And I think the same thing is going to be happening on Amazon. And you just have to be on the right side, put in enough like discipline, hustle, and your best effort. And that's how you come out of this.
Yeah, backed by data. The thing I don't like about Temu, you asked why I don't like Temu. Temu is because no one wins. It's only Temu winning, right? And those are sales being directly taken away from American sellers and brands, and real brands and sellers. And that's why I'm not a fan of Temu, because that is a vacuum of revenue going straight to one company, and because of the way that they're structuring things.
Amazing. I think that's a good place to wrap up. Obviously, we'll look at this again next year, like we did 2023. Probably got a lot of things wrong. Probably got a lot of things right too, because you all are the most in it and focused with data, and you're doing the talk. You're not just talking the talk. You're walking the walk as well. You're sellers. You're people who are helping people grow. So we appreciate everyone's time. Just for I said 5 minutes each person, but of course, in true fashion, we all stretch it out and try to get as much as we can in here as well. To kind of give a global perspective on this, Frisbi, we saw a lot of shift into foreign sellers actually coming in. We're not talking about China. We actually saw a lot of sellers from Europe shipping and sending more goods and products into the United States. So that comes with a currency, the state of where that is, where there's exchange of money. We're talking about the macro impacts and the micro impacts of certain aspects. We saw a lot of foreign sellers grow in the United States in 2023, but we're seeing a lot of people on the flip side find those we touched on a little bit earlier. So other marketplaces that are prime with the tools that Amazon gives you, third-party people are giving you, to find places like Australia, Japan. It was announced that South Africa was going to be a marketplace of operation here in early 2024. So we'll continue to watch as Amazon expands, and its job is to get your catalog in as many places as possible. That's their goal. So that's the continued mission for them. So just kind of quickly put a nice little bow on it. But thank you everyone for spending this week in between Christmas and the New Year's. Happy holidays to everyone. Thank you for spending the craziness that is the end of Q4 with us. And if you have questions, Brandon, I promise to also, you have the most, you have the one thing that's coming up the soonest, and I promised I would do this. Oops. It would overlay can't become discount, or for everyone who hasn't done January 14th through 20th. Let me see if I can bring this more eloquently up here. Do you want to talk a little bit about can't become really quickly?
Yeah, I appreciate that. That wasn't even necessary. I think that we have a 3-night, 2-day workshop hands-on with 3 different tracks coming up. It's for sellers who are already doing millions of dollars. We've got a track for you. It's business management, quarterly planning, what levers you're going to pull in the next 4 quarters, how to work backwards. It's led by my CEO coach that's helped us grow from 10 million to 30 million over the last 3 years. We've got the pre-launch track, which is all what I described earlier about product development using data and AI, validation, design, writing listings that maximize rank, logistics, and then we have post-launch. Post-launch is going to be traffic and conversions, and so every single section is taught and then hands-on and interactive. So you're either working in your business at the same time, or you break into a group and work on it as a group right after as well. It's very different than any Amazon conference in the space because it's not someone pitching you from stage. And you're actually going to leave with a lot of value in your business because you're going to learn. And we give a very big discount if you're bringing team members. So we have team member add-ons and partner add-ons so that you can level up your entire team at the same time. I highly recommend you divide and conquer and level up everybody.
So for those sellers, and again, go to campecom.com. If you use Frisbi, you get a nice discount. I think it's $100 off, but it's January 14th through 16th. If you are in the Florida area, which we have lots of sellers in the Frisbi ecosystem and lots of sellers in Florida, stop on by. And if you're looking to level up your game in 2024, yeah, no problem. I would shameless plug anyone else who has an event. I don't think anyone in this room does, but we will be putting all this content into a blog form, sharing our insights for 2023 and 2024 on frisbi.com. We'll make sure we link to everyone's websites as well, where you can find more information. Thank you, everyone, for coming on and just spending a few minutes with us and all the sellers here who are listening to us on our channels. Thank you so much, everyone, and we appreciate your time here on our 2023 Frisbi Rewind.
Thank you, guys.
Everybody.
Thanks, everyone.